What is going on, everyone? My name's Boit, and I'm back with some more Age of Mythology. The Titans action spawning in the bottom of the map in the blue color, playing as Odin. His name is the Rapl, also known as the Raplus or Rapl. Is very easy to say, so we call him Rapl. His opponent today in the red color, also playing as Odin. His name is Bird. Very, very exciting times. We've got Bird versus Rapl, and in fact, we have seen Bird starting the build that I recommend. At least the very initial part of this build is what Bird is doing, exactly the same. In fact, he's doing it as he's stealing my builds. I'm so happy. This is going to be a great example of what not to do because he's doing what I do. Okay. Rapl, on the other hand, he prefers to delay these dwarves. And what delaying the dwarves does is it means you get less villagers on wood. It means you get less fishing income and you get less dwarves overall. And the important thing here is that you don't want to be building dwarves in the classical age with Norse. The reason being that you get 18 fishing ships that fish that food shoots up, and if you're building dwarfs in the classical age, you are not getting your gold to increase at a fast enough rate that when you hit 800 food, 500 gold, when you hit 800 food, you're not also hitting 500 gold, which is the aim of every single one of these 18 fish build orders. Alternatively, you can try a different strategy, but you're still going to need roughly that amount of gold to make anything useful. If you want to make hearse, or you want to make Ulfsark, even if you want to make raiding cavalry, you actually need more gold than you need food for raiding cavalry. So really, really important is getting out those early dwarves, and we are in fact seeing that. We've got 3 dwarves here on gold. I wouldn't be surprised to see Bird throwing more dwarves over onto the fish here. The Ulfsark comes over onto the bottom side or the top side of the map. We'll throw down the dock immediately, and then he'll have to throw down another house right next to him in order to continue getting that. And this is exactly the 515 build that you can do on this Anatolia map. Though his wood chopping villages are in a very strange place. I would have expected him to come onto this wood line, but he's decided to go to the forward wood line, and they are not inefficient here. They just look weird. They're completely fine. They just look strange. Anyways, we'll see how it's all going to go. Rapl over here getting himself his second Ulfsark. You do need 2 Ulfsarks here with Odin. If you don't get 2 Ulfsarks in Norse in general on Anatolia, you just can't get up 4 docks. You can't get up 4 docks, temple, houses. You can't afford to get everything up. That's why you have to go 2 Ulfsarks on Anatolia if you're deciding to go for the 18 fishing ship build. Now, Bird is continuing here. You really don't need to put more than, I would say, 8 villages-ish onto wood. With Norse here, you want to start putting villages onto food and sorting that out. Do see that house is up. Bird will be throwing down another dock here soon, but he does need to start the temple first, which should be the first thing that comes out here for Bird. He's going to throw down his house first, and then I'm sure a temple should follow, but he is waiting on this location. Maybe he's going to throw down a dock. This would be a bit of a mistake here from Bird because he's not going to be able to afford that. He's not going to be able to afford that temple. It's very important to get it. So I guess we'll see if he's going to get it up. He's not going to get it up in time. He needs to be up by 4:15 here. So just a little bit of an ordering issue here from Bird, unfortunately. And Rapl might take advantage of it, though it is seeming like he's building that extra dwarf. He's getting his dwarfs out, finishing there, and he will be advancing for a 5-minute advance time here. He's forgot to garrison the fishing ships, but he does do that there. So one thing to take somewhat of a note in is that advancing fast on Anatolia, like the difference between advancing at 5 minutes and 5 minutes and 15 seconds really doesn't matter, because defenders' advantage on Anatolia on the water is just ridiculously strong. If you can have the advantage if you have the defender's advantage on the water, you don't need as much to defend as your opponent needs to push. So advancing a little bit later is completely fine here, as we see that advance time coming through for Bird now, but it is just that little bit late. Could have been up about 20 seconds, 25 seconds earlier had he done the ordering on the temple a little bit better. This dock being here, getting those final fishing ships out is going to be completely fine here. He's got a lot of villagers on gold straight away. So one thing you can do here, I mean, he's decided to do this, but one thing you can do with these dwarves is actually have them on wood. They aren't that much slower than the villagers here. They're about 0.28 per second slower, which might seem like a lot, but if you're only leaving them there, say for a minute or something, you're not really losing out on that many potential resources, and you can just bring them over to gold a little bit later when you need it. But at this point, you can see Bird's actually got a lot of gold in the bank and not as much wood in the bank to make those longboats. And I imagine Rapl here will be making himself... No, he's not. He's just making more fishing ships here. So Bird's actually going to come out of this in a very, very strong position, I would say. Because he's got 18 fishing ships, and he's probably going to get himself pursed in immediately. He's probably already got himself the hand axe as a stray Valkyrie does come in. Bird's going to move on to this wood line over here. Be very, very happy about that. Throwing up his cheeky wooden wall here as well to make sure his village is a little bit safe. And Bird's defended everything very, very nicely here. And you can see those resources pumping up very fast. I'd love to see an armory get thrown down straight away here for Bird. He's going to have a ton of gold. You can actually go Njord on this map and be completely fine with that. But maybe in the Norse mirror, it might be worth it to go with Skadi, as the defense is just much, much easier, much, much better. You get the Frost Giant to deal with any sort of mountain giants. You get the Frost to deal with the Walking Woods. You can't get a whole lot of advantages where Njord is concerned in this matchup unless you hit a timing before your opponent hits the Heroic Age. But all that being said, you do get the Kraken, which can be enough to really push through, as we are seeing one villager here seemingly getting sniped down as Bird not paying attention, but this villager running away. Rapl does notice it. Will we see this turned into a gate and he's going to save this villager? Not quite going to be able to do it there as the Valkyrie gets away. Meanwhile, Raven's floating overhead. We do see a couple of units coming in onto this position. A potential wall trying to get thrown up here by Bird, but he's not able to, as one of those units was blocking that there, and the villagers do manage to get away, but they will have to walk all the way onto that position. Meanwhile, we've got the longboats coming out as Bird is putting the pressure on that position. The army of Rapl starting to push forward. Bird is, in fact, going through Njord, though. So the question is going to be, will Rapl have the units here or not to defend any sort of Walking Woods push onto this town center? And also, will Bird be able to hold on the water against a Kraken here while putting pressure on the land, as we do see the temple getting taken down? But I feel like Bird is going to be able to hit the Heroic Age first. It's going to actually be very, very close here. 95, 96, 97, another Hersok coming out. The Heroic Age comes in, and the Mountain Giant does manage to spawn here, as we do see the Raven floating in here. Walking Woods getting thrown down in the main base of Bird, though, as he wants to keep those Walking Woods alive in order to defend against the pressure that is going to be mounting here, as Bird is going to be spamming out those Ulfsarks, trying to get some buildings together in order to defend against this initial pressure that Rappel's going to be putting onto him here as the second longhouse coming down. No armory upgrades coming in for Bird just yet, as the Kraken coming through going to be targeting down these units very, very nicely. Nice usage of the special ability that killing off one of the max HP longboats, as now Bird can just walk underneath these docks and finish off the rest of what Rappel's got here. And Rappel's not going to be able to defend this very easily at all. The recharge time on this one-hit ability from the Kraken is only 16 seconds, which ends up being the fastest one-hit kill unit in the game, though it does take a while for the said Kraken to actually do anything, to actually kill the unit. That's so the slowest thing to kill a unit, but the fastest one to recharge in a way. Or maybe the Cyclops is the slowest. I don't know. It's one of the two. But a couple of villager kills there for Rapl as the Ulfsarks coming in to defend. We've also got the medium infantry coming through for Bird as well. Did Bird invest in Sultan Forest straight away is a question. Yes, he did. And that is why he's going to be having such a crazy amount of food economy over what Rappel's got. But Rapl is going through Skadi here. So it's going to be advantage Rapl in terms of tech. Rappel's going to be able to have himself Huntress Axe for his throwing axeman. He's going to be able to have Frost Giants, which are definitely better than the Mountain Giants. But he's on the back foot here. Bird's got all the advantages here. There is a Frost still available, though, for Rapl, so he can definitely turn the game on its heels by doing that, as we are seeing a Kraken on this bottom side of the map as well. Going to be finishing off some of these fishing ships that Rapple's got here. They can the Kraken can one-hit those very, very nicely. As Rapl moving in here, going to be able to take down these Ulfsarks. A couple more Ulfsarks falling as Bird does decide to retreat back. We see the marker coming up now. The question is, do you go for an early Ragnarok here? Do you go for Fimble Winter to hit your opponent's economy and try and defend against your opponent's potential Ragnarok a little bit later? These are actually really difficult questions to answer here. We'll see if Bird's going to throw down his temple again. He doesn't have one anymore. Meanwhile, over here, the longboats pushing forward as the Krakens seemingly have been taken out on the bottom side of the map, as this Kraken over here is coming through to try and take down the dock. I think the Kraken wins this. He does 5 crush damage, so he should be okay as more units are coming through for Bird. Rapl, on the other hand, is he getting town centers? Yes, he is. So the second town center coming through for Rapl a little bit late, but it's a very strong positioned town center to be sure. And the big thing here is, if Bird does go for Balder here, which I think makes the most sense, where does he go from this? Like, what does he need to do? He needs to avoid the frost on all of his units and basically sit on these gold mines, as we are seeing this Ulfsark over here taking down the dwarf. I'd love to see this Ulfsark find his way down the map and build a barracks or something here. Meanwhile, we've got some Drakar coming through to help take down the dragon ship, which is going to be finishing off these longboats, causing some pain there on this position. We do see Bird walking through. I'm not sure exactly what his plans are where that's concerned. Balder is on the way for Bird. Meanwhile, over here, the Kraken taking down more of these fishing ships. Very nice play from Bird. Going to continue getting that damage done. Meanwhile, the army of Bird coming in will be able to potentially get a big frost onto these villages and onto an army if Bird is going to try and defend this or not. But we do see Bird attempting to retreat away, running through that hill fort, keeping all of his villages alive for the time being. We don't see any sort of attempt at ox caravans just yet. The fishing ships getting taken down on the water here for Bird. Bird not having a temple up means he's not going to be able to have himself the free fire giant here, and this is going to be a big problem for him as the town center is under attack, as Bird not defending this one. The Balder on the way, 70% of the way through here. We'll see if he can come through and defend this or not. The mountain giant does get frosted there as the army turning around, coming off of this town center. We see the watchtowers coming through to take down these units. The town center is up. We've got units over on this position here for Bird, looking for some more raids. So long as the mythic age comes through for Bird, he's going to be happy. But Rapl here surely has to be close to the next age. He's not actually close at all, but he has a lot of wood in the bank, and Bird will indeed manage to get to the mythic age here, as the army going to be retreating off of this position. Over here, we've got these fishing ships somewhat being taken out as the Drakar coming through to take these bad boys down and finish off all of the fishing economy of Bird, which, while Bird does have himself 1,000 food in the bank, this is making this slightly all in for Bird as he comes through, and he's going to get somewhat of a surround on this army here from Rapl, as Rapl trying to retreat back, taking a lot of DPS here as the frost onto this position does come through. We've got the army coming in onto this gold mine here, but Rapl is no longer there. Rapl, in fact, very smartly retreating off said gold mine. He's still got gold left in his base, so he just needs to make his way to the next age, getting himself masons, getting himself fortified town centers. A couple of random units over here are getting picked off as the house getting taken down on that position. If we take a look at Bird's line of sight here, he's got his he's kind of got an eye on every single one of these gold mines, making sure that Rapl isn't mining gold in this game. There is a whole bunch of units here that are sitting idle. Bird is at 145 pop. Rapl is at 99 pop, as the Ulfsark does indeed see that this gold mine here is about to expire, and Rapl, he has got no real way to get to the mythic age here. Bird is going to have to put everything into taking town centers down and finding his way through Rapl's position. We'll see if he's going to be able to do that as he is moving forward through here, straight onto this town center. 10 villagers do get garrisoned. The army over here for Bird taking down some houses on the behind of Rapl's army as he's going to be pulling some units in here to try and fight this one. We have a couple more units in the main base of Bird coming forward, a couple more idle units coming out. We've got villagers getting rebuilt here. Meanwhile, still some fishing ships are managing to gather for Bird. In fact, I would love to see a dock get rebuilt on that position here as the mountain giant going to be helping take down this town center fairly quickly, even though there is masons here. Those heroes of Ragnarok that were left at home now coming in to help out. We have one stray hero of Ragnarok on that low position there. As this mountain giant is still doing tons of damage, the villagers are going to be making a break for it, as Rapl is very well aware that the most important thing when you're facing against a Ragnarok is to be keeping your villagers alive, running them around the map, making your opponent spend as much time as possible to finish them all off, as this town center will indeed end up falling here. Bird here is making villagers from one town center. He needs to be getting them onto the food, onto the gold, get both of his town centers going, start that trade route, sort his economy out, as he's currently got a big advantage here on the land, but he needs to use it well, as we are seeing Rapl here losing his fortified town center. He's still got a decent amount of food in the bank, but I think Bird is thinking, well, I better go after this town center. If I can kill both the town centers of Rapl, and that's going to be no potential Ragnarok for Rapl, as another gatherer getting picked off. The gatherer is retreating back over here, moving down to this bottom tower, going to be taking that one down, as the throwing axeman dealing its damage over here. We see the army still coming through, but Rapl has now got himself heavy infantry in the bag here, as the houses of Rapl still getting taken down. So it's some nice pressure that Bird is continuing to put on. 29 HP left on this mountain giant. It's a big siege weapon doing a lot of damage here. Let's see, will Bird spot this wood chopping operation up here? It's just out of line of sight, as Bird does not see it. The villagers coming through to finish off these units here. They're all going to be alive on this position. Bird is now starting the villager production over here. He can jump onto these boars here. He's not going to do it. He can start that trade route if he wants. A market on another position could be a good idea. The dock over here going to get taken down. The army coming through to try and take down a whole bunch of these villages, and we might get into a position here where this game kind of resets, as it seemingly looks like, well, Rapl's got himself 15 fishing ships, so it doesn't really matter. Rapl's moving his villagers forward onto this forward gold mine, and this army of Bird has done a whole bunch of damage onto the economy of Rapl, but so too has he done the damage to himself, as we do see one lone hero of Ragnarok over here going to get shanked down, but not before potentially picking off one villager. Nope, Bird pulls that one there and doesn't get that final attack. It's now the army here for Bird going to be making his way over onto this position. He still doesn't have his temple, so he can't make himself those fire giant that he would very much like to have. A stray gatherer over here not doing all too much, as these villagers finish up on this gold mine. We'll be moving forward here as the army coming through, and Rapl going to be swinging his villagers where? Not around this way. They've snuck back into the main base, and Rapl still does not have himself any gold to play with. We've got a temple coming up. We've got houses coming back up. We're selling resources in this market that's come through. How much can he sell for right now? He can sell food for 58 gold. So we might be able to get his way to the Mythic Age and click Balder himself here. But is that going to be enough is really a valid question. Because effectively, if you see Rapl go Balder here, you just go into mass throwing axemen and just go and turtle in your base, and you should be feeling okay, I guess. But there is the fishing ship you have to worry about, as Bird is now back up on this position over here. The dock is up. We've got one lone Drakkar taking down this dock over here. More villagers coming out. 14 villagers on food, 16 on gold for Bird. Rapl, on the other hand, 9 on food, 3 on wood, as these villagers here are getting taken down. Thank you so much for the raiding party, Noahs. Hope your stream went well, as more units falling, as the villagers retreating back into the town center. The throwing axemen retreating away. There's a handful of these that are going to be very scary to deal with, but Rapl is effectively sitting in his base right now with 0 villagers working. He's got 9 fishing ships. And Bird has just got the economy pumping right now, as he should be very, very happy about the position he's in, so long as he can continue to control these gold mines. So Raven floating overhead, both Ravens floating overhead. So Rapl actually sees Bird's Raven here, and this is going to mean that Rapl is going to have to retreat off of this gold mine yet again, as the Jarls coming in here to raid. The Olsarks coming from the top position here as well. The throwing axemen from behind coming in, but the Jarls come in here. The ox carts might fall as well. This is going to be a tough fight here for Bird to actually win with those throwing axemen here against the Jarls. The Olsarks going after those ox carts do manage to take them down before retreating away. The Olsarks do have Lone Wanderer, so they're able to dodge those throwing axemen very, very nicely, as more villagers here of Rapl are falling. The villagers back onto this wood line over here. If we check it out, we've still got 20 villagers only on wood for Rapl, 10 fishing ships as well, compared to Bird, who's got 20 villagers on food, 20 villagers on gold. He has got a strong economy. He's making the push happen, but these heavy throwing axemen are very, very scary here, even with cavalry, which technically counter the throwing axemen. It's just not quite enough here to really make it happen. If Bird had made a whole bunch of fire giant here, it would be a completely different story. Be able to completely literally toast these throwing axemen, but he can't do it just yet. More units coming through for Bird as he's continuing to try and make this reboom happen. Still going after villagers of Rapl, as Rapl sending those villagers onto these gold mines over here. Throwing axemen over here have dealt with the straggler units on this position. We've got ourselves medium raiders now through, as the raiding cavalry able to come in and support, taking down these throwing axemen as best as he possibly can. We do see the throwing axemen able to turn around, have a good position here to start finishing off those raiders. If any sort of micro happens here, it's going to be a big micro contest, but now we do see Rapl is getting himself Valkyrie out as well. Remember, he did have somewhere in the vicinity of 2,500 food at some point that has dropped down to only 400, and now we're seeing Bird retreating back. Is Bird going to try and venture into something else? Still no temple up, still no real extra military buildings, basically just making Jarl and raiding cavalry from 3 military buildings, so it's just not able to really make it happen, as this Jarl over here getting chased away. Stray Olsark on this position for Bird. Might try and take the town center. I doubt it. Just throw up a couple of longhouse here to continue to raid this location. I would assume would be a half decent idea. Meanwhile, villagers onto this gold mine, as Bird is happily mining carefree, it seems, on that gold mine over there, as now we see Bird finally getting this temple, meaning he's going to finally be able to get Fire Giant. But this might be too little too late in a way, because once he gets the Fire Giant out, Rapl's gold economy is going to explode, and he has his market already set up, so he can click Balder himself, he can go Ragnarok, and then the question of whether Bird can defend a Ragnarok is very, very real here, as those Fire Giants still haven't started. He's actually sitting very high on the population. The army here of Rapl going to be looking for the gold villagers as they're hanging out on this gold mine. He might have to pull them back here as he's distracting away with said hero of Ragnarok. There's the Olsark over here have been taken out. This Valkyrie's going to try and heal the ox cart back up to full HP. Has now the army coming through for Rapl. A big amount of damage will be coming onto Bird here as he's making a run for it. The army of Bird coming through. He's got those Ulfgarls to deal with the shield mating Valkyrie. They get a whole bunch of bonus damage there as they come in. Going to be trying to deal with this as best as they can, but look at this Rapl economy starting to come through. Villagers are getting pulled off of this gold mine though. He still doesn't have the gold economy, still hasn't really started a trade route. He could start one coming through the middle of the map here to that forward gold mine there, town center there, as the throwing axemen moving forward, and they're going to be realizing, hey, if I send all my units up here, maybe I can deal with what Bird's doing here, but without all my army, it's not going to happen. Rapl, 133 population, Bird Bird, 129 population, currently missing a couple of those very, very spicily needing houses here as the army coming through here for Rapl onto this location as Bird is chasing down these units, and he's very much out of position, losing a lot of villagers here as Rapl is returning damage onto Bird's economy very, very nicely, and town centers still producing those villages. We've got the farm starting to come through for Bird as the villagers getting taken down over here, and Rapl is now potentially going to be in a position where he cannot really fight this, but we'll see how the fight's going to go. Technically, it looks like the Ulf Jarl throwing Axemen of Bird should be able to win this fight, but maybe not here as the more army is coming through on the back side here, going to be able to clean these units up. Bird is now getting himself those Fire Giant out. He is raiding this position over here, and in that position, Bird decides he can no longer fight in this game. Going to be losing out on his gold over here very, very shortly after losing this fight. All those units that are coming through for Rapl seems like it was more than enough to finish off that army that Bird had made. This is I have no idea how Rapl managed to survive this after getting pushed off gold so much, losing so many villages, being so far behind. At least it seemed like he was behind in civilian count here. Yeah, at the end here, definitely behind in civilian count, but it's not as far behind as you might think. So this drop off here seemed to have mattered quite a bit from that Ragnarok, and somehow, some way, Rapl manages to bring this one back. I think this game was definitely decided by Bird not building that temple and then not making those Fire Giants, because there wasn't really a way for Rapl to defend against, say, 3 Fire Giants coming out with all of those throwing Axemen. But a very, very interesting game. I think Bird had the advantage for the most part here, but he kind of threw here in this game as Rapl managed to survive. GG, well played. If you guys enjoyed this game, please consider hitting the follow on the Twitch. If you're on the YouTubes, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next game.